Welcome to Joe's RC Corner, guys, and today just want to do a quick overview on the updates on the CAP 232, so stay tuned and we'll get started. Hey guys, welcome. Alright guys, so today we're going to be talking about the CAP 232, but before we get started on that, I want to thank all the new subscribers. I finally reached over 500 subscribers on the channel. Really do appreciate all the support that you guys have been giving me, all the feedback and so on. So I really do appreciate it. If there's anything specific that you guys might want to look at, want me to do a video on, please do not hesitate to put that down in the comments below. And if you're looking to support the channel a little bit more than just subscribing, I do sell some t-shirts on my Teespring store. The link is down in the description. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started on the Giles, or on the CAP 232. And if you guys remember, we did install the Corona DS 559 HVs. They're high voltage servos from Corona. And if you guys have been following my channel, I use their 16 gram servos, high voltage servos, quite a bit on some of my other builds. Most of those have been smaller airplanes and they work really great. Those smaller ones are awesome. Never had any issues with them. They're fast, they're strong enough, and you know, just all around a great servo for 60 size and below. I went to the 120 size on this airplane, and the larger servos that they have, they're a bit slow, they're a little sluggish, and also recently started seeing some issues when they're powered on. I can still move the servo arm really easily. So I'm not sure if it's an issue with the servo. I checked my power. They're getting 8 volts, 8.4 volts, 8.1 volts, depending upon the charge state of the batteries, because I am using lithium-ion 18650s. These shouldn't be pulling high amperage or anything, so I don't understand what's going on with that. But what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and replace those servos. If you remember on the Giles 202, I actually switched. I'm actually using the Spektrum Servos on there for 40 to 120 size, and those servos are decent. They do have a little bit of slop in the gearing, but for just a fun sport airplane, they seem to be doing just fine on the Giles. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to swap the servos out on the CAP 232 with the same servos. So as you can see here, they're the Alpha 6380 high voltage metal gear servos. I'll take a picture of the box and we can take a look at those. But yeah, they're Spektrum Servos, metal gear. Some of the specs on them, they're put out 102 ounces of torque at 6 volt and 160 ounces of torque at 8.4 volts. So we'll be running the 8.4, so that'll be perfect. Transit speed at 8.4 volts, which is what we're going to be running at, is 0.13. Now, I understand those aren't the fastest servos in the world. Totally get that. But again, this isn't a 3D airplane. I don't need super fast. I just need precise, good servos. So we're going to be swapping out the servos in here. Most of this is going to be in time lapse. There's not really much I can explain on this in regards to setting them up. But we'll do a little bit of we'll do one servo here really quick and let you see how we're going to be doing this. But it's basically very simple. We're just taking that servo out and we're centering this servo and we're going to plug it in. The servo leads, if I remember correctly, are plugged in the wing, so we can pull the lead out, swap out, and plug it in. Put some heat shrink over the plug so we don't damage, so we don't have to worry about them coming undone during flight. And that's really about it. One thing I do like about these Spektrum servos opposed to the Corona servos is they give you really good hardware to mount them. They give you Allen head, socket head screws, which are really nice. They give you many different options in regards to servo arms. The large black one is what I was using on the Giles wing. However, I did find that the little bit of slop that was in the servo head itself translated right into the control surface really nice, really badly. So what we'll do is we're going to replace them with these, and we're going to look at the servo arms and see which one gives me the least amount of issue. Now the big black one that they have in here only has that one hole. It's a little bit far out on it. That's why I switched them out on the Giles. But we're going to take a look, see where we can put the servo arm on there, and see how much slop we get in there, and go from there. So we're going to go ahead and pull out one of these servos. We're going to center this one up with a centering tool, and then we're going to go ahead and get it mounted and test it out. Okay, so like I said, we got the servo right here. We're going to go ahead and pull out this the DS 559 HV from Corona, and we're going to go ahead and replace that. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my screwdriver here. Where did I put that? There we go. We're going to start with pulling off the servo arm. Now I did use Loctite on these since it is going into a metal servo or metal head. That's why that was a little bit tough to get out. Like I mentioned, I used a heat shrink around these, so I'm going to have to cut that off. And what we'll do is we'll go ahead and add another piece of heat shrink over this after the fact, when we put the new servo in. Because like I said, we don't want the servos coming loose, the plugs coming off while we're flying. Alright guys, and now what we'll do on this servo here is we're going to go ahead and take the rubber pieces, the eyelets. We're going to install the rubber grommets on the servo mounting points here. Now, when you're looking at these grommets here, and they have these little metal pieces right here. See if I can get the focus here. There it is. Now these right here, the flange here goes on the bottom. And the reason for that is when you install the servo and you screw it into the wood underneath, if you put it in the other way with the servo head pushing up against this area with that metal sharp edge, it's going to cut into that wood. And now your grommet is not doing what it's supposed to do, which is to isolate the servo from the vibrations in the aircraft. So just pay attention to that. Make sure you put them in the right way so you don't crush the wood underneath or cut into that wood underneath the servo mount. And where the servo is mounted, because if you do that, you're not isolating your servo. Now the other thing I do like about these Spektrum servos is they give you some spares. So if you drop the screws or anything like that and you can't find them, or even the grommets for that matter, they give you an extra one. So bravo to Spektrum on that. I appreciate it. It doesn't cost them much to throw in an extra screw or two, and it really does save us when we drop them. And we all know, we all have that issue on the garage floor or workshop floor. It's like a little monster down there that likes to steal screws when you drop them. So, okay, so now that we have the grommets in place, I'm going to go ahead and plug this end into a servo centering tool. And we are going to use that to make sure that servo is in the middle or in the neutral position. And then we're also going to test the servo. So everything works. We're going to go ahead and center it. Now we know that servo is going to be centered. We will install the arm at 90 degrees from the servo. And they also use a hex socket head screw to hold the servo arm on the servo. So again, bravo to Spektrum for that as well. That provides a nice way of making sure that the servo arms are really good and installed. And you can tighten them up really good. I'm going to go ahead and double check my center since I just screwed that on and loosened it a little bit. So we're going to make sure we're, there we go. Servo arm is now centered. Now we will transfer this ball link into here. Now I do need to open up that hole though for it. Now all the spacing should stay the same, so I'm not going to try to center the elevator or the ailerons yet. I'm going to take care of that after I get it mounted. We will put Loctite on the back of these screws when we're done, because the nut needs to be Loctited in place. Grab my needle nose pliers to hold on to the nut while I tighten it in. Okay, so we get our heat shrink here, and we'll grab a piece that's large enough to go over the servo arm or the servo leads. Plug it in, slide that heat shrink down over that servo lead, just like so. All right, then you take your heat gun and your servo lead. All right, so now that gives me a nice strong way of keeping this servo lead nice and secure inside the wing. So I'm going to reach back underneath and I'm going to pull that servo lead through from the other side as I feed it in on this side. Rotate the servo to the correct direction. There we go. And then we're going to take our socket head screws here that came with it, with the servo mount, or with the servo, and we're going to screw those into place. Now you want to make sure that your servos are mounted snug, securely. But do not over tighten, otherwise your grommets are useless. You want the grommets to do what they're supposed to do, and that is protect your servos from vibration. So do not over tighten them, but make sure they are secure. You don't want to tighten them down to where you're actually crushing your grommets. There should be a little bit of wiggle, but not too much in the servo. You should be able to see the shock absorbent of them. Okay, so now that that is secure, we're going to go ahead and pull the servo lead from that wing. We're going to plug it into the servo tester here and make sure everything is moving without binding. Now we will go back and we're going to have to elongate this to make sure that we're in centered, because the centering point on this servo, it might be just a little bit different. So that looks good. We have full motion. We'll go ahead and center again. And as you can see, I'm not sure if the camera will pick it up here. There is a little bit of slop in these servos, and that's what I had in the other one. I'm not sure if the camera's going to pick it up. Let me zoom in a little bit more so you can maybe see it. So I'm just moving the servo here, or the control surface, and you can see there's a little bit of slop in these servos. But for all purpose, for normal flying operations that I'm going to be doing, just doing mine old aerobatics, not doing 3D, we should be fine with this. Should not see any major issues. But if I need to, I can always adjust and switch out the servo arms to one that's maybe a little bit shorter and move that servo arm in. But we'll see how it all works and then go from there. So I'm going to go ahead and do the rest of them. We'll do a flight on the airplane next week and see how it works. All right, guys, so that's all we're going to be doing today. It's a short video. I'm going to go ahead and replace all of the servos now. Maybe we'll take this aircraft out to the flying field next weekend and go ahead and test it out, see how she's flying, because I've been really looking forward to really breaking in that twin cylinder from Valley View RC. That 30cc twin. From what we've ran on it so far, beautiful engine, sounds great, seems to be plenty strong enough for this airplane, but like I said, I haven't had a great opportunity to really test out the setup because of the servos that I chose to put in there when I started. So we're going to go ahead and swap out all these servos, and we'll be right back and finish up the video. All right, guys, so one more thing that I want to go over here before we finish up the video today is I want to go ahead and show you a method of doing your weight and balance on your aircraft if you don't have the means of picking it up. For instance, this airplane does not have a wing tube in the center of it, so I can't lift it up by the wing tube, which is generally, on most aircraft, pretty close to the center of gravity on that plane. So what I'm going to do is we're going to do things a little bit differently, more along the lines of using some math here to do this. But I've gone ahead and I've set up on my computer, I have a weight and balance spreadsheet here that I'm going to be using to go ahead and type in the numbers and get the weight and balance as close as possible, very similar to the way a manned airplane would be. So basically what I have here is I have 3 kitchen scales, and you set up the aircraft in flying attitude, and you have a measured point here, which is I'm going to be using that table up here. The spinner is actually touching the table, and that is going to be the datum point. So now what you do is you're going to measure from that datum point back, and you're going to get the measurements for each wheel. So each point that's touching the ground, we're going to go ahead and get the exact measurement of how far away those points are from that datum point. So give me a second, let me get that measurement, and we'll type it into the computer here. Okay, so now that we've gotten the measurements for each wheel, so the tail wheel distance from the datum and the two main wheels from the datum point, also went ahead and measured to where the suggested balance point is on the wing, and we recorded that as well. So with this information, we had 14.5 for each of the mains, and then the tail wheel was 59 inches away from the datum point. The balance point was 18.5 from the datum. So that basically is going to be the arms from the datum. So we're going to go ahead and reset the scales and now we're going to record the weights at each wheel. Okay, so now that we have all the weights, now we can actually determine what the weight of the aircraft is. So let's sum these up. So the plane empty without fuel is about 14 pounds. So now all we have to do is we have to figure out what the CG is. So taking that information, we're going to take the arm, which is the distance from the datum point to the measured bout to the wheels, and we're going to multiply that by the weight that's on there. So, for instance, the left main is 14.5 inches away from the datum point, and we're going to multiply that. So times. Okay, so now we have that in each point is now in inch pounds. So 91.3 inch pounds on the left, 88.5 on the right, and the tail is at 88.5. Okay, so now all we have to do is now add the total of the moments and the total of the weights. So now we'll total this up. Next thing we do is we're going to divide 74.6, or on ours, 268.3, divided by the weight. So that would be 19.3. Now, if the CG is 18.5 away, the CG, as it sits right now, is 19.30, so 19 inches from the datum point. So, if the recommended is 18.5, and we measured 19.3, so what that means is the plane's slightly nose heavy.
That is actually incorrect. The plane is tail heavy. So if the measurement comes out larger, then that's balancing further back, which would mean that the plane is tail heavy. If the number is smaller, then the measurement is ahead of the CG, which would make it nose heavy. So don't listen to this guy. He doesn't know what he's talking about when it comes to math.
Right now, and as you can see, these servos seem to work a lot faster, and they're going to work a lot better. So we're going to go ahead and fly this on the next day. I'll post. Now I found this information online for doing your center of gravity. It was written by Jason Starmer. Information is very, very good. I'm going to go ahead and put the link to this paperwork that he wrote up in the description below. With that, guys, that's all I have for today. So make sure you hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and if you want to support Joe's RC Corner, go ahead and visit my Teespring store. I'll put the link somewhere in the description. There's a discount code, Joe's RC. And if you want to help support me, go ahead and purchase a t-shirt. All the funds go back to making these videos for you guys. So go ahead, take a look on the website there and see if there's any t-shirts that you might like. Anyways, that's all we got. I'll see you on the next video, guys. Maybe we'll be out at the field with the Cap 232 testing out the new Spektrum Servos on it. Keep building and keep flying, guys.